You can tell a lot about a woman's intentions just by how long she chooses to stay in that moment with you. Because a hug, at its core, is about presence, and presence is never accidental. When she steps in and wraps her arms around you, there's already a level of comfort there, but the real message begins in what she does next. A quick hug is easy to understand. It's polite, it's social, it's expected. It's the kind of hug she would give a friend, a colleague, or even someone she's just met. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's also nothing deeply revealing about it. It's controlled. It has a clear beginning and a clear end, almost like a routine. She comes in, makes contact, and pulls away without ever really settling into the moment. But when that hug lasts just a little longer than necessary, that's where things start to shift. Because now, she's choosing not to rush. She's choosing to stay. And that choice matters more than you think. When a woman lingers in a hug, even for a second or two longer than what's socially expected, she's allowing herself to feel you. Not just physically, but emotionally. She's giving the moment space to exist instead of cutting it short, and that only happens when she feels safe enough to do it. You'll notice it in the way her body changes. At first, there might be a slight tension, something natural, something human. But then, if she's comfortable, that tension melts. Her shoulders drop. Her arms settle more naturally around you. She leans in instead of holding back. That's not something she does consciously. It's instinctive. It's her body saying, I'm okay here. And safety is a powerful thing. Because when a woman feels safe with you, she opens the door to everything else: connection, trust, attraction. Without safety, none of that can grow. So when she chooses to stay in that hug instead of pulling away immediately, she's showing you that, at the very least, she doesn't feel the need to protect herself from you in that moment. But here's where you need to be careful. A longer hug doesn't mean you rush to interpret it as something more than it is. It doesn't mean you suddenly tighten your grip or try to escalate the moment. That's where most men lose the subtlety of what's actually happening. They feel that extra second, and instead of meeting it with calm confidence, they disrupt it with uncertainty or overreaction. The real skill is in matching her energy. If she's relaxed, you stay relaxed. If she lingers, you allow it, but you don't force it. You don't turn a soft, natural moment into something heavy or awkward. You simply exist in it with her. Because what she's really responding to isn't just the hug, it's how you handle it. Can you stay grounded? Can you be present without needing to control the outcome? That's what makes her feel even more at ease. And sometimes that hug becomes a quiet conversation. No words, no explanations, just a shared moment where both of you feel something, even if it's subtle. Maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's the beginning of something neither of you has fully defined yet. But if you rush it, if you overthink it, if you break that rhythm, the moment disappears just as quickly as it came. So the next time she holds on just a little longer, don't question it. Don't analyze it in your head while it's happening, just feel it for what it is. Because the truth is, when she chooses not to let go right away, she's already telling you more than words ever could. What really gives a hug its meaning isn't just that it happens, it's how it happens. Because the truth is, two people can hug in completely different ways and send completely different messages without saying a single word. And if you're not paying attention to those small details, you'll miss what she's actually expressing in that moment. Start with the space between you. That alone tells you more than most men realize. If she keeps a noticeable gap between your bodies, if her arms reach in but her torso stays slightly back, that's her maintaining a boundary. It's polite, it's respectful, but it's also controlled. She's choosing connection, but only to a certain level. And that's important to recognize without taking it personally. It simply means she's not fully opening herself up in that moment. But when that space disappears, when her body naturally comes closer, aligns with yours, and there's no hesitation in that closeness, that's a completely different energy. That's not just a hug for the sake of it. That's comfort. That's curiosity. That's her allowing herself to step into your space without resistance. And people don't do that unless they feel something worth exploring, even if it's subtle. Then there's the way she holds you. Is it light and almost formal, like she's just completing the gesture? Or is there a bit of pressure, a sense that she's actually holding on? That pressure matters, because when there's intention in the way she touches you, it shows engagement. She's not just going through the motions, she's present in it. Pay attention to her hands. They speak loudly, even when everything else is quiet. If her hands rest loosely and briefly, that's neutral. But if they press slightly, or if they adjust, even subtly, that's awareness. That's her feeling the moment instead of rushing through it. And sometimes, it's even more telling than the hug itself. One of the clearest signals, though, is when there's softness in her posture, when her body isn't rigid, when she melts into the hug instead of holding herself in place. That softness is emotional. It's not something she consciously performs, it's something that happens when she feels at ease. And when a woman feels at ease around you physically, it often reflects how she feels around you emotionally too. And then there's something even more intimate when her head comes closer to you, even for a brief second. Maybe it's a slight tilt, maybe it's resting lightly, maybe it's just a moment where she doesn't pull it away immediately. That's not casual. That's not something she does with everyone. That's a sign of trust, of letting her guard down in a way that's instinctive, not calculated. But here's where you need to stay grounded. These signals are meaningful, but they're also delicate. The moment you try to force them into something bigger, you break the natural flow of what's happening. If you suddenly tighten your hold, if you shift in a way that feels unnatural, she'll feel that immediately. And the very comfort she was expressing can disappear just as quickly. The goal isn't to analyze every movement in real time, it's to become aware of the patterns, to notice the difference between distance and closeness, between tension and ease, between formality and genuine presence. Because once you start seeing those differences, you stop guessing and start understanding. A hug is never just physical, it's emotional language. And every small detail, every shift in how she positions herself is part of that message. So instead of focusing on what you want it to mean, start paying attention to what she's actually showing you. Because her body will always tell you the truth, even when her words don't. And then there's the part most people completely overlook: the moment right after the hug ends. Because as much as the hug itself carries meaning, what happens immediately after often tells you everything you need to know. It's the transition that reveals whether that connection was real or just a passing gesture. Think about it. The hug ends, your body's separate, and in that split second, there's a choice. Does she create distance or does she stay present? If she pulls away quickly, almost as if the moment is over the second it ends, that's usually a sign she's closing the interaction. It doesn't mean anything negative, it just means the hug served its purpose and nothing more. She resets the space between you, physically and emotionally. You'll see it in how it shifts her body away, how her attention moves elsewhere, how there's no pause, no lingering energy. But when a woman feels something in that hug, even something small, she doesn't rush out of it. There's a softness in the way she pulls back. She might stay just a little closer than necessary. Not touching anymore, but not fully stepping away either. That subtle hesitation, that's not accidental. That's her staying connected to the moment just a little longer. And one of the clearest signs is what she does with her eyes. If she looks at you right after the hug, holds that eye contact even briefly, that's a form of intimacy most men underestimate. Because eye contact in that moment isn't just visual, it's emotional. It's her checking in, feeling the energy, seeing if you felt it too. There's a quiet conversation happening there. No words, no explanations, just a shared awareness of what just happened. Sometimes, she might even add a small touch after the hug. Maybe it's her hand lightly brushing your arm. Maybe it's a gentle tap. Maybe she adjusts her position, but keeps some form of connection for a second longer. These are micro signals, but they matter. They show she's not in a hurry to disconnect. And here's the part most men get wrong: they either ignore this moment completely or they rush to fill it with unnecessary words or actions. They break the tension too quickly because they feel uncomfortable in that silence. But that silence, that's where the meaning lives. If you can stay present in that moment without trying to control it, without overthinking what to say or do next, you allow that connection to settle naturally. You show her that you're not reactive, that you're comfortable in the space between actions. And that's rare, because confidence isn't about doing more, it's about needing less. Now, on the other side of it, if she immediately turns away, checks her phone, or shifts her focus elsewhere, that's her signaling closure. The interaction has ended, and she's moved on. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's clarity. It tells you exactly where things stand without you having to guess. This is why awareness matters so much, because when you start paying attention to what happens after the hug, you stop relying on assumptions. You stop building stories in your head. You simply observe what is. And the beauty of this is that it makes your interactions smoother, more natural, more grounded. You're no longer chasing signals or recognizing them. So the next time you hug her, don't just focus on the moment itself. Pay attention to how she leaves it. Notice whether she lingers or lets go completely, whether she stays present or disappears into something else. Because in that quiet space right after the hug, She's telling you exactly how she feels, you just have to be paying attention.